Good morning. It's Suzy Q and Suzy Q's book club. We are working on the book Angels by Charlie Shamp, and we are on chapter 4, talking about the glory angels, the cherubim, and the thrones. And we're in the section, the prophets and the cherubim. So we went through the seraphim. There's 9 different categories, or not categories, but 9 different levels of angels. There is 3 spheres, and the first rank is the seraphim, which are the closest to the throne, the closest to God. That's all they do is worship the Lord, glory, 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 holy, holy, holy. And they also interpret and implement the will of God through the ranks of the angels. Then we have the cherubim. And we're talking about the cherubims now. The cherubims, they're more, they implement the things of God, and they interact with the humans. And so we are talking about cherubims. And last time we were talking about cherubims and fragrances, that when the cherubims are in the atmosphere, that you may smell whiffs of fragrances from the heavenlies. And so now we are at the prophet and the cherubim. And I'm trying to hurry a little bit because I'm running behind on my video this morning, but I just I'm going to get started real quick. It says, in a future chapter, we will look at the broader view of the manifestation of angels in the Bible. However, a proper and lengthier study of the cherub angels requires a peek into Ezekiel. The first 3 chapters of Ezekiel disclose his call as a prophet of God. In the 30th year by the river Cherubim, among the captives, the heavens are opened and the glory of God appears. Concerning the 30th year, Albert Barnes makes this comment: it is not improbable that Ezekiel was called to his office at the age prescribed in the law of the Levites in Numbers 4:30, at which age both John the Baptist and our Lord began their ministry, which was at age 30. In the first chapter, the scene and the characters are almost identical to the events in chapter 10. In chapter 1, a mighty whirlwind descends from the north, and a dark cloud and fire enfolds itself. In the middle of the cloud is an expanse of dazzling brightness surrounded by encircling flames. Just imagine that. Use your visual imagination and think about that. So it's this dark cloud that unfolds itself. In the middle of the cloud is an expanse of dazzling brightness surrounded by encircling flames. 4 beings of strange and mysterious shape, introduction of the cherubim, stand in order to form a square. Below their feet are 4 wheels, and over their heads a throne in which is seated the likeness of a man dimly seen, while a voice issuing from the throne summons the prophet to his office. Moving on, it is in chapter 10 where we find the prominent reference to the cherubim angels, the glory of God and the work of the cherubim. Chapter 10 is like a cinematic storytelling that takes place in other dimensions with creatures not of this world, but they visit our world quite often. Ezekiel is the storyteller. God is the heavenly producer and director, and the angels are the actors alongside Ezekiel. Here is the script for the story. The Babylonians have destroyed Solomon's temple, including the cherub-covered walls, marching from Israel to Babylon. The people lament the destruction and death that had had showered down upon them. Ezekiel was one of those in that march towards Babylon. It was while he was a captive in Babylon that the visions began. During the vision that took place in Jerusalem, Ezekiel saw the same appearance of the glory of God that he saw by the river Chebar. The story begins with three characters in this Grammy Award-winning movie. There is the cherubim, the mystery man clothed with linen, and the prophet Ezekiel. The first scene begins with God's manifested glory in the upper world. Something of the invisible world is here in the visible. Ezekiel saw something above the cherubim surrounding God's throne, with a glorious panoramic view of the visible and invisible world. Ezekiel responded, "There I saw what seemed to be a throne. It was blue like a sapphire stone, pure and sparkling, that appear as a throne." Ezekiel would conclude that it was the throne of God. Before I move on, I have an important note to share with you. This book is about angels, but we must never forget that God's divine nature and power exceeds that of the angels, including the key actor, the cherubim. Back to the story. God tells Mystery Guy to go inside between the wheels and take the burning coals from the center of the cherubim and dump them on the city. The cherubim are parked on the south side, right side of the city, waiting for the next event. This was on the opposite side from where the angel of judgment started their work. Ezekiel 9:1-2. The cherubim, as the prince's lifeguard attending the gate of his palace, positioned themselves as sentries of the glory. At that moment, a cloud fills the temple. Now here is an interesting statement. The glory of Jehovah mounted the cherubim, and the appearance of his glory is veiled with a cloud. Out of that cloud darts forth a shimmering, blinding light. I wonder what it would be like if the glory of God mounted us during our time of worship. One thing for sure, lots of awesome things happen when the cherubim show up. As the glory fills the house, there is this sound of the wings of the cherubim growing louder and louder. The cherubim were ready for the Lord to leave the temple. The wings of the cherubim are engaged as they prepare to go. The vibration of the wings, like the strings of musical instruments, made a curious melody and felt like a vibrational frequency. This noise is said to be the voice of the Almighty God when he speaks, as the sound of thunder on Mount Sinai. According to the law of vibration, everything in the universe moves and vibrates. Everything is vibrating at one speed or another. Nothing rests. Maybe this vibration is influenced by the flapping of the cherubim wings. The scenes seem to shift back and forth. God tells the man in the white linen to take fire from the center of the four-faced cherubim. The cherubim appear to have human hands coming out from under their wings. That is very bizarre. While Ezekiel sees how strange the wheels under the cherubim really are, Ezekiel describes again the wheels and the cherubim. I will turn to Ian McAvoy to help finish up the last scene of the movie. These were the same as he saw by the river Chebar. The wheels moved as the cherubim moved. The cherubim moved as the Spirit of God moved. The wheels did not turn. They went forward as the cherubim led them. Each wheel seemed to have a wheel inside a wheel. That is, each wheel had another wheel across its center. The cherubim went in any direction, but they did not turn their bodies. All the cherubim and the wheels were full of eyes. The cherubim had eyes in their backs, hands, and wings. The eyes show that they can see all things. As they see all things, so does God. Nobody can hide anything from the eyes of God. There are 4 cherubim, and each one had a wheel. Someone called the wheels that spin. They did not turn to move in any direction, but they did spin, and they made a noise. And everyone had 4 faces, and the first face was the face of a cherub ox in chapter 1, and the second face was the face of a man, and the third was the face of a lion, and the fourth was the face of an eagle. Ezekiel 10:14. One of the most familiar interpretations of the 4 faces in the cherubim are related to the 4 gospel accounts. The lion symbolizes supreme strength, kingship, the man, highest intelligence, the ox, lowly service, the eagle, heavenliness, mystery, divinity. In Matthew, we see that the Messiah King, the lion. In Mark, we see Jehovah's servant, the ox. In Luke, we see the Son of Man, the man. In John, we see the Son of God, the eagle. In Joseph Benson's commentary, he takes a different take. 1. The first had the face of a cherub, that is, of an ox, as appears by comparing this verse with Ezekiel 1:10. The word cherub indeed originally signifies an ox. The several faces are here represented in a different order from the description given of them, Ezekiel 1:10, of which difference this reason may be assigned. 2. In the first chapter, the prophet saw this vision coming out of the north and advancing southward, Ezekiel 10:4, where the face of a man being placed on the south side was first in view. 3. The lion being on the east part was towards his right hand. The ox being placed towards the west was on his left. And 4, the eagle was towards the north. This interpretation is justified from the situation of the positions of the several tribes of Israel in the wilderness. Numbers 2:2, Numbers 2:10, the book of Numbers, where Judah, whose standard was a lion, was placed on the east side. Reuben's, whose standard was a man, was placed on the south. Ephraim, whose standard was an ox, was placed on the west. And Dan, whose standard was an eagle, was placed on the north side. Here the prophet is supposed to stand westward of the Shekinah as that was moving eastward, so the ox was first in his view. Okay. The cherubim and their wheels were prepared to leave the temple. They rose from the ground, and the wheels rose with them. The cherubim and the wheels together always move together as one. As a concluding statement, we focus on the movement of the glory, the cherubim and the throne. The glory of God begins to move. The step-by-step exit from Jerusalem is recorded for us. As the glory of God moved from the Holy of Holies to the entranceway of the temple, we see that the living cherubim carrying the mobile throne were waiting outside the temple on the south side. The entire house and courtyard were filled with the surrounding cloud and illumination. After God assigned the man in linen and the executioner their jobs, he left the temple threshold and ascended his mobile throne above the living cherubim, not returning to the physical Holy of Holies within in the temple. The cherubim may have moved to meet him as we see them hovering with him above them at the east gate of the temple. The glory of God left the temple. It had come out of the most holy place already. It had come to the door. Now it moved away from the door to stand above the cherubim. The cherubim, their wheels, and the throne moved. They stopped about 50 yards away at the east gate. As they went, the glory of God went above them. Wow, that's something I have to reread. But anyway, I've got to run. So I'll probably go back and touch on that chapter, because there's so much to unpack there. But anyway, I will chat with you later. I got to go to work. Love you guys. Bye-bye.